Hi, I'm Heather. I'm an artist and designer, and I've been over on Twitch this week, and I just kind of wanted to summarize what I've been doing. I started out making these tulips on Procreate, and then I'm going to pull them into Illustrator, and then finally finish them up in Photoshop to come out with 5 unique color palettes and patterns. So this is Procreate on an iPad with an iPad pencil, and I was just sitting trying to think of a modern, simple floral design with bright colors to follow a brief that I was looking at from a specific company. And I wanted to start out with big, bulky flowers and then fill in with some long floral leaves, some smaller floral accents, some contrast, and those little dots just to help me fill in the area. And then I pulled it into Illustrator and I worked on the first version of my pattern. Now, this was really just to see what the pattern would come out like, because I need the pattern to be in a square template. So this is try number 1 of moving around the leaves and the floral stuff and all of the contrasting notes, all those different colors, in order to make a pattern that doesn't look so freaking repetitive. What I hate most is when I work really hard to make this pattern and you have a leaf here, and a leaf here, and a leaf here, and a leaf here, and it's just such a bummer. If you want to see the full stream, you can go check out my Twitch, which hopefully I will put right here. I'll also put a link down in the description, and you can see the full video, or you can just tag along and see what else I'll be working on in the weeks to come. I'm going to start streaming every Tuesday and Thursday, and you can see that in my schedule. It'll put it in your time zone. So as I get a little farther into this, you can see I'm fiddling a lot with all of these colors, and it's so bright, but it won't stay that way. And then I start going in and I select everything that's similar colors, and I'm just going to make 3 color palettes just to play around. Now the final color palettes have to be in Pantone, so this is really just to get distinct feels out of the colors. So here's some example of Pantones over on the right, and then me just using the eyedropper tool to fiddle a little with the colors and see how bright and modern and cheery I can get the flower pattern to actually be. Now I have to make 5 variations on the color palettes. So I started out by just picking Pantones from an eyedropper tool, and then I realized with 5 color palettes, I really need to just use the full library. So in Illustrator, there's actually something called Color and Books, and you can go in and see all of the color palettes for the entire collection of Pantone, which is what I'm going to end up doing. So here is the square version of the pattern. See, it's a little wider than what I had going on before. And I still need to print this out at full DPI to make sure that I really enjoy the size of these flowers. Because you can work for a really long time and then realize, oh my goodness, these flowers are all too big. And if so, you scale them down 30%. Refiddle around, but all the colors are good and you know what you're going with next. So it's not a super big deal. Okay, so now we have 2 color palettes done. I mean, 2 color palettes done. It was more the square pattern here that I felt like was the big breakthrough. And then I took a break in my Twitch stream and came back to showing that pattern with the gold colors behind my feed. And you can kind of see everything is going into place. So the colors I really wanted here were bright yellows and greens and oranges. So I'm going to select all the leaves that are similar colors and group those together and just start tweaking the colors. But instead of nagging your ear off, I'll just let you listen to some music while you watch me pick through these colors real fast. And then we'll jump in when we're done. So now we have this bright color palette finished, and I'm going to put some brown behind it so that way I can see where I really want these colors to be. I need them to all work together. So I want to focus on keeping consistency. So if I use a chocolate brown in one, I want to use a chocolate brown in the other, or a green that matches. Or for example, this light blue is one of the threads I'm going to pull through all of these patterns. Okay, now all 5 patterns are complete. They're all based on the same floral arrangement, and then I've used those different color palettes. I'm going to export all of them, which you can see on the right under today's progress on my Twitch feed, and then we're going to pull those into Photoshop, and using a fabric template, I want to see what every single pattern would look like with little folds and ridges and wiggles in the fabric. So if you've ever used one of these mock-ups before, they're super awesome if you can find one that's high quality. So what you're going to do is you're going to open the mock-up, and then you drop in the graphics that you want to show on the fabric, and then they've already mapped out how the pattern needs to kind of wave over and optically look like it's on fabric. You save, it processes, which takes forever when you're running Twitch or OBS and Photoshop at the same time, and then it comes out looking magnificent, and I can really be happy with where I've come. So if you will hold on, I think you got one more minute of me laying.
Okay, so during the layout, I wanted to separate every pattern, and then after I get them all organized, I'm going to go in and I'm going to mask them off into like strips so that I can see the patterns lined up next to each other. And then I'm going to jump back into the regular mockup file and see that with all the waves and shadows as it's mocked up, but there's not quite enough contrast. So let's jump back into the large file of patterns, add some drop shadows. You'll notice that drop shadow on the left. And then I want to add a drop shadow to every single group of these pattern layers, so that when you're viewing one pattern on top of another, it's easier for your eye to detect where one pattern ends and the next begins. And then it's good. It's done. Fantastic.